Jim, thank you for your remarks. It's reassuring to know that our community's health is in good hands. I'm sure many of you sensed our hospital has an entrepreneurial nature. I kind of welcome that and wondered, given Jim's appetite for land, whether he might like to own a golf course. More on that later. You know, it's been a very busy year. We've got a lot to discuss, a lot we could discuss. Very quickly, here's a rundown of the major projects we've worked on in 2019 and will continue to pursue in 2020. State Road 46 overpass, quiet zones, ASAP, the Alliance for Substance Abuse Progress, our riverfront, the Hotel Conference Center, downtown housing as well as housing throughout the community, State Street, Phase 2B, the 2nd Street gas station convenience store, Fair Oaks, Donner Center, Evolution, our public safety training facility, Velocities, our partnership with Bloomington, the Fresh Start Recovery Center, our upcoming city and county bicentennial, Otter Creek, and Curb It. More on that later, but that's an improvement to our refuse and recycling programs. Now, we don't have time to discuss them all, but we'll hit the highlights. As many of you know, the CSX and Louisville and Indiana railroads announced in 2011 an upgrade to the rail line that runs just west of our downtown. In 2016, we began to review our options. With substantial help from Dave Hayward, our city engineer, and some of our corporate leadership, we were able to convince the Indiana Department of Transportation to bring forward a project that would route State Road 46 slightly south to a new route over the rails and State Road 11 that would line up with the Stewart Bridge. This $35 million project is financed 50% by NDOT and 50% by a group of funders, including our City Redevelopment Commission, Bartholomew County, a TIF fund controlled by Cummins, and the railroads themselves. The traffic volume on this rail crossing is significant. Nearly 40,000 vehicles per day cross these tracks. When you consider that the city's population is only 47,000 and the county's is 80, you begin to realize that 40,000 vehicles in one spot creates what you could call a traffic funnel. The importance of this project for safety and ease of travel cannot be overstated. So far, we've enjoyed good weather, and my hat's off to Milestone. We've got a couple of representatives from Milestone here this evening. They're our primary contractor. They have worked evenings and weekends since the project's kickoff and are on track. I love to be able to say that. They're on track to have us driving on the new pathway by Christmas. Along with trains come train horns. Federal law, not the railroad's choice, requires that the train sound its horn 4 times at each crossing. In our downtown area, there are 4 crossings, State Road 46, 5th, 8th, and 11th Streets. So in the space of about a half a mile, that requires 16 blasts. We get people call the office, they want to know, why is that guy hanging on that horn? Well, federal government's telling him to do that. Since part of having good health is having a good night's sleep, we're also looking at creating a quiet zone in that place. A quiet zone designation simply removes the federal requirement for the horn to sound, but it also requires safety enhancements, such as gates and centerline dividers. We've engaged traffic engineers to help us understand what those safety enhancements will mean in terms of cost and revisions to the intersections. We've also engaged the railroad in these discussions, as they are the ones who will construct the safety improvements. We're awaiting their analysis, so more on that later. The Alliance for Substance Abuse Progress, or ASAP, is making a real difference in people's lives. You may recall that we started ASAP about 3 years ago. It's a collaboration among Columbus Regional Health, Bartholomew County Government, and the City of Columbus, designed to help those who have become a victim to addiction. Today, from its hub in the United Way building, ASAP helps, now get this, ASAP helps 10 to 12 people per day. 10 to 12 people per day. And ASAP is more than the hub. It has helped spawn a substance abuse public funding process, the Bartholomew County Drug Court, the REALM program through community corrections, and the newly created jail treatment program, and it works hand in hand with community volunteers and organizations such as the Foundation for Youth and the Healthy Communities Council. ASAP is a real success. I think I can speak for our partners as well as the city when I say that while we know there's a lot of work to do, we are exceptionally pleased with the progress to date. From a small public-private partnership tasked with developing a strategy for dealing with this crisis, ASAP has evolved into a living entity, working to save lives and improve our community every single day. Our riverfront project continues slowly as we work through the permitting process at the Indiana Department of Revenue. I like to tell people sometimes we work at the speed of government, and some governments work slower than others. As I've said before, there are many parts to this project. We have an old, unsafe, falling apart dam that was built cockeyed to the river. We have erosion on both sides of the river. On the west side, the erosion threatens to expose an old landfill. On the east side, erosion has already exposed an active sewer pipe. We can leave this project for those who come after us, or we can step up and address it in our time. The project we have proposed removes the dam and provides stabilization to both banks. It adds an in-water improvement that recaptures some of the water level that would be otherwise lost up at Millrace Park. And it does so in a manner that provides an opportunity for recreation. Now, we hear often that recreation has evolved. And while many of the recreational offerings of 50 years ago are still popular today, and I think tennis, swimming, golf, ice skating, we've got new desires. The younger generation has new desires, and those you can think of as skateboarding, people trails, tubing, and kayaking. You see, our proposal for the riverfront goes beyond simply fixing several negatives. We also look at this as adding several positives. In-water recreation, a safe people trail connection, and a beautiful extension of Millrace Park. During 2019, our community completed Envision Columbus. Envision Columbus was an ambitious, comprehensive planning effort to imagine how our city ought to evolve. You know, excellent communities don't happen by accident. We have planned for the community we have today. As you think about our downtown, 4th Street, the Jackson Street parking garage, the Hotel Indigo, the Cole, please remember that those came about as a result of Vision 2020, an ambitious, comprehensive community plan from 2010. Envision Columbus points us toward a downtown that is fun. It points us toward an entertainment, cultural, and civic hub that attracts residents and visitors to a dense, exciting, almost urban environment. To achieve this, we are pursuing a hotel conference center, mixed-use residential development, and a grocer, all in our downtown along the 2nd and 3rd Street corridors. Our conversations with the developers are ongoing, and we hope to have an announcement by Memorial Day. Envision Columbus has also spawned a downtown activation committee. This collaboration among our Visitor Center, the Columbus Area Arts Council, and the IU Architecture Program, and others, is designed to provide some life, something to do, some excitement in our downtown. Envision also addressed housing. We have for some time been concerned about a tight housing market here in Columbus. Envision has helped us focus on the need for housing in the downtown area, and the result has been to pursue or foster housing units along 2nd Street, as I mentioned earlier. But I want to share a mind teaser for just a moment. Let's think for just a moment. How many housing starts do you think we have underway in Columbus? Now keep in mind, I'm talking about everything, from single-family residences to apartments to assisted living units, all designed to come online in 2020 or shortly thereafter, but already announced. How many do you think? How many think 100? How many think 300? The real number is 843. Folks, that's an astounding number, 843. I'm talking about Abbey Place off Lowell Road, and I'm going to point north, I hope. The Lofts at Ashford on 10th Street, Gladstone Apartments just north of the Circle K, Vivera Senior Living on State Street. If you haven't driven down State Street for a while, do yourself a favor and just go down there and look at the size of that building and think about the change that that's going to make in that neighborhood, in that area. Bartholomew's on Sycamore and the 7th Street townhomes are designed to be built on the block that formerly occupied by St. Bartholomew's Church, just north of Central Middle School. Traditions of Columbus on Goler Boulevard, and Baptist Homes of Indiana near Rocky Ford and Tally Roads. Not only do these address our tight housing market, but they all speak to the health of our local economy and a desire by private sector capital to locate here. Jim spoke earlier about Fair Oaks Mall and CRH's plans for the West End. You see around here some storyboards, down on this end, that show conceptual work we've completed to date. I'll remind you that we conducted 4 public listening sessions. Our consultants interviewed 20 special interest groups, and we held another 4 public meetings to discuss the results. The results are what's shown on these storyboards. Our next step is to sit down with the architects and work to turn our concept into plans we can put out for bid. This is a long process, no doubt, but one of our most exciting ventures. Earlier, I mentioned Otter Creek. As many of you know, the golf course and clubhouse at Otter were early examples of Mr. Irwin Miller's vision for the Cummins architectural program. Both assets were gifted to the city back in the 1960s, but it wasn't until recently that the city assumed full operational control. Obviously, the future of Otter Creek is yet to be written. From the city's perspective, however, one thing is pretty clear. Today, we have 54 holes of public golf under city management. We have 9 holes at Greenbelt, 18 at Par 3, and 27 holes at Otter. Those sum to 54. Our intuition tells us that's too many golf holes, but it doesn't tell us how many too many, nor does it tell us which are too many. To address those questions, we've appointed a board at Otter Creek with representation from our Parks Department. We've given it the task to help us work through how to best right-size the supply of public golf in our community with the demand for public golf. Please keep in mind, golf hasn't gone away and is not predicted to do so. But the golf industry, so to speak, is getting smaller. We expect to report back no later than August 1, which is when we traditionally begin our budget discussions for the next year. And we also plan to take garbage high-tech. Coming in early May will be Curbit. Curbit is an app for your phone. So we're going to put garbage on the phone. It will allow you to schedule large items for pickup, items like couches and mattresses. It'll also provide an option for hard-to-cycle electronics and white goods like dishwashers. Some items will be picked up for free. You make an appointment on your app. We'll bring the guy or the truck by. You have to get it to the curb. Some items will be picked up for free. Some will require a small fee. But please stay tuned as we roll this out. The rollout date scheduled for May 4th. But you can get a heads up now by visiting the website gocurbit.com. One word, GOCURBIT.com. Your city is an exciting and vibrant place. And we have much more underway than what we've discussed to this point. As I mentioned earlier, we could talk about Evolution, the public safety training facility that we opened last year. We could add Fresh Start Recovery, a renovation of our old post office, into an addiction recovery center for young mothers with children. And Velocities, our partnership with Bloomington and the state of Indiana that's designed to foster entrepreneurship. We are tying East Columbus, a long overlooked area, to our downtown with an extension of the State Street People Trail west from the State Street Bridge along 3rd Street, then up north on California to 5th, where we're going to pause for a while. We've also been cleaning up blighted properties around town. And the most recent one that you'll see or get to watch is the closed convenience store on 2nd Street. We have that property under contract, and we're moving to complete the purchase and clean that area up. It's truly an exciting time. But before I close, there are 2 newer horizon-type issues we need to discuss. One, as Jim mentioned earlier, is the coronavirus. I'm sure you followed the topic in the media and realize there seems to be new information every day. You may have read in the Republic that Columbus institutions have already met to begin planning how we should respond should we need to. It has already been said, it's not time to panic, it's time to plan. Our meeting included representatives from the city, Columbus Regional Health, Bartholomew County Public Health, Bartholomew Consolidated Schools, and local industry, with a goal to begin to understand how each of us are prepared to respond and how we might best coordinate our responses. An important part of the discussion was how best to communicate with the public. There are many places to go for information, and individual websites for all those organizations will evolve over time as more information becomes available. For now, we believe the best place to go for information focused on Indiana is the Indiana Department of Health's website. You can go there, scroll down, it's option maybe 20 or 15 or something like that, coronavirus. And they'll tell you what they're doing here in the state of Indiana and what's been reported to date. Now, the second issue I'd like to add is a brief comment on the referendum that our school system has placed on the upcoming primary elections ballot. Folks, from time to time, important issues come our way that deserve our attention. Please visit BCSC's website or attend one of their public events. Get yourself educated, pun intended. It's never easy. It's never easy to consider a tax increase. It's never easy to agree to pay more. But the purpose and the benefit could not be clearer. Our teachers need better compensation. A few years ago, we faced a similar dilemma with our first responders, our police officers and firefighters. We were losing police officers and firefighters to other agencies, and our recruiting pools were declining. For police, we eased the take-home car policy and removed some restrictions on dress and grooming. But I believe the most important change we made was for compensation. We needed to place a higher value on police officers and firefighters. We did that, and the change has been dramatic, especially in our police department. For a few months last year, we were fully staffed for the first time in recent memory. Today, we are losing teachers to other schools and other professions, and the pool of those studying to become teachers in Indiana is less than half what it was 10 years ago. We tell ourselves we wish to be the best community of our size in the country. We cannot do that without the highest quality police officers, firefighters, and teachers. As I said earlier, please get involved, get educated. This is a worthy cause. Thank you. Yes, it's an exciting time to be in Columbus. Frankly, I tell people that it's a great time to be mayor. We have much to work with and much underway. And we have a civic spirit second to none. When people ask me about Columbus, it'd be easy to tell them about our strong economy or our architecture, but what I'm most proud of is the level of talent in this town and the level of volunteerism. All of us are willing to do more because we know that those around us share the same enthusiasm for our community. Thanks again for your time here tonight. I hope you found it enjoyable and educational. I want to thank particularly Nancy Wagner over there. And I want to thank Pam, my wife Pam, out there in the back. Give us a wave, honey. Thank you much. But thanks again for your time here tonight. I hope you found it enjoyable and educational. Finally, we got two furry friends. Yes, on the screen. These are Calvin and Hobbs. They belong to Mary Ferdon, who works with us down at the city. Calvin and Hobbs Ferdon. And they were rescue cats from our local shelter. They're here to remind us that this Saturday, from noon to 5, we will host Kitty Palooza, an adoption event sponsored by our Animal Care Commission here at Fair Oaks Mall. Come back Saturday and adopt a cat. Thank you very much.